Come with me on the trip through the galaxy. Fly high, away from misery. Come with me on the trip through the galaxy, but your feet won't be brown.
That's the kush. Say, man, you already know we're gonna get to that other shit in a minute, man. But just respect the creative prowess, man. I'm trying to diversify my portfolio. If y'all think that Anita Baker sample from the other day was something, y'all ain't seen shit yet, man. Just open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind. Guess you ready? See, man. Just chill, man, and get on the right vibration, man. That's the kush. It's just the Leo in me. Hey, man. Y'all just open up your ear and get ready to let me crawl into your mind, man. Because it's about that time, y'all. So let's go ahead and get it straight, huh? What it was, man. Y'all already know who it is. And y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge of Self. And this right here, this ain't shit but a little cosmic insight, y'all. And say, man, it's a beautiful day and we having a little fun, but it's time to get serious, man. And, you know, it's time to really think about what the fuck you're about. Because this right here, this a little something about those people that have Saturn in the 9th house of their natal chart. Yeah. And before we actually get into all of that, you already know what I'm going to have to do first, y'all. I'm going to bring y'all a little information on Saturn and astrology. Then after that, I'm going to give y'all a little quick breakdown on what the 9th house of the astrological chart is all about. Then after that, we're going to bring it all to a culmination, man. And with that being said, man, we ain't got no time to waste, y'all. So Saturn, man. If you don't know about now, man, Saturn is a motherfucking resident taskmaster and disciplinarian of the zodiac, and it ain't gonna make shit easy at all, bro. And being the ruler of the sign Capricorn and the 10th house of the zodiac, you know, it's really going to make you put the work in if you ever want to see any kind of results, man. And even then, you know, it's going to take time. Yeah. And, you know, like the priceless message of Jesus Christ himself, man, you know, if Jupiter is going to feed you a fish, you know, yeah, you might be okay for a day. But Saturn is going to put you through something and teach you to fish, and you'll never be hungry again. You get it? And if you don't, think about it. But anyway, you know, so it would say, but Jesus were going to say, so I'm going to teach you to be fishers of men, but that's not what I'm saying. You get what I mean? And at the same time, it also rules the sign of Aquarius in the 11th house to a lesser degree. But what that says is that it's okay to yearn to conquer the world too, man. You know, as long as you realize that it's going to be hard if you're doing it on your own. And, you know, Saturn is also all about time and all of its usefulness and all of its limitations. And, you know, Saturn rules old age and the lessons that teaches us. And wherever Saturn shows up in the chart, it teaches us that, you know, where we're going to feel the most restriction, where we feel a lot of obligations and fears and, you know, stress about that situation. The sign placement shows a type of energy connected with our obligations, and the house placement in the natal chart is definitely going to show the area of life that we feel the most restricted in, or that we're going to see the most hardships if we want to learn the lesson, where we're going to have to put the work in. But if we put the work in, you know, there can be mastery, because Saturn is also all about mastery. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's why when I was young, you know, and I thought like a child and I moved like a child, you know, yeah, I was scared of Saturn a little bit, because, you know, for all I knew, that was gonna, with me, I have it in the second house, that's gonna fuck my money up. But now that I understand, and now that I no longer think like a child, and I'm mature in my mind and my spirit, I understand that Saturn is a bad motherfucker, and he's going to teach you to be a motherfucking beast if you allow him to. Okay? And the aspects that Saturn does, you know, they show the most direct involvement of other areas of life with, with feelings of responsibility. And lastly, you know, Saturn takes about 28 to 32 years to traverse the whole zodiac and come to the exact moment that it was, the exact place that it was at the moment of your birth. And when it does that, that's called a Saturn return. And when that happens, man, you know, around that time, shit is going to get a lot more thick, a lot more meaningful, and it's going to have a lot more, you know, karmic influence going on with it. You know what I mean? It's going to have a lot of meaning behind it that's just, you know, more than what the eye is seeing. And that could be easy stuff. It could be easing up, or it could put more restriction on you because you haven't learned a lesson. Okay. But we'll just have to see what happens. But either way, when you come out of that Saturn return, you know, just like a diamond, man, it was cold at first, man. It just took pressure. So Saturn, when people always talking about, I'm pressure. Nah, Saturn is pressure, man. Saturn is pressure. And either you going to fold or you going to become a diamond. And so when we talk about the 9th house, man, the 9th house for me is the house of philosophy, and it's ruled by Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius. And the search for meaning really takes precedence here. Shit, my son's in the 9th house, and it really boils down to understand what we see and feel by virtue of exploring new experiences. And it's about higher education, psychology, and theology, and all things involved with our voyage for discovery. And for me, the 9th is the house of our spirituality, man. This is where God lives. Yeah, if you believe in that. Or at least, you know, this is where something greater than self lives. And you can always sense that, man. And that could also include the laws or the systems that we govern our society by. And not as much as political systems, but more like, you know, universal laws that are, you know, inherently or should be inherently understood. And I'm not going to go into that because there's all kinds of things, man. And the 9th house is also all about foreign culture and long distance travel and psychologists and astrologers and psychics and philosophers. And, the ninth is also all about publishing and import and export business. And it really takes on a really multi-generational view, because it's also could be all about the grandparents and the in-laws and our relationships with such. Like the ninth house is just about belief. And so when we talk about having Saturn here in the ninth house, it's tricky, but we're going to get to it though, either way, because that's what we do. So one of the main things I see with this is that these individuals really need a lot of time to put new information into perspective, man. And before anybody gets it twisted, that is not to say that they are not intelligent, because it's actually exactly the contrary to that, man. It's just that they want a structured and organized train of thought. So the thing is, they're very fucking intelligent, but, they often feel restricted in developing a philosophy of their own. That's kind of what it is. So they follow the steps of what they learned before. They have to learn and do things by the book. And sometimes they don't necessarily feel real confident in what they're learning. But whatever with Saturn involved here, like there's a fear with like branching out into learning something else, man. So I can also say that, that more often than not, there's a real fear of ridicule from, maybe the parents, or maybe something that went on when they were young that prevents them from asking the question that it takes to build a philosophy of their own. And with that being the case, these folks usually end up sticking with the script and have a very conservative, and philosophical and religious beliefs, man. They're going to stick to whatever their family believed or whatever their father believed a lot. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe their mother, it just depends. But, whatever their family believes, because a lot of times it might be the same thing when we're talking about some of the older people, or one of the references I'm about to get to in a minute, because it's somebody we talked about. And as a matter of fact, me and somebody were talking about Michael Jackson the other day, and we were actually trying to discuss him having Saturn in the fifth. And then, it led me to take a look at his chart. And when I looked at his chart, I realized that he has Saturn in the ninth. And, it actually made a lot of sense to me. It immediately made sense because Mike's a Jehovah's Witness. Mike was a Jehovah's Witness, strictly. And Prince was too. And I just watched the interview with Morris Day the other day talking about how Prince was trying to make, no matter how crazy Prince was, he was trying to make them become Jehovah's Witness. And he was very, strict in those belief systems and stuck in that. And at the same time, he resented the whole thing, even though that was his own religion. And that's kind of what Saturn in the ninth does, man. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps, these people had to grow up with really strict and rigid religious things going on like that. And, perhaps free thought was repressed and conformity was rewarded, or maybe they were just on a stellar academic path and, their schooling was interrupted for some reason because they had to go do other things, or, maybe their mobility might have been restricted, like living in an isolated place or something like that where they just couldn't move around, or they just lived with parents that didn't have it like that to give them school. Maybe they were really smart and they just weren't afforded the opportunities because of whatever their parents had going on. You know what I'm saying? Because Saturn, the ninth house is also higher education. In any case, man, their intuition is extremely powerful, but their gifts of observation were probably shunned or, not welcome to be expressed openly, to say the least. And this kind of discouragement kind of made them to distrust their own instincts. And, when you do that to a kid, that's a motherfucker later on. Believe me, I know this. And so on the other side of it, ninth house Saturn people have really strict morals from a really early age on. And they're always going to be on the more conservative side of those. But as they age, they'll most definitely be able to, become a lot more tolerant and open-minded. And I can say that if Saturn is afflicted, they're going to be the type that always wants to really seek external validation for all the shit that they got going on, man. And for their thoughts, especially, at least. And in either case, they ain't going to be the type to question what an authority figure says, what they see as an authority figure, like their father. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't going to be the type to question that when he come at them with something. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what it is, man. And that's crazy. And this placement for me also suggests a really industrious student with a really structured view of the world. But sometimes, you know, there's certain fears and resentments attached to people that try to come at them with opposing views. Like, I could see that playing out a whole bunch of different ways the more that I think about it. And, you know, the ninth house is about expanding our horizons and exploring new and foreign things and, you know, seeing the world from a new perspective and speaking your truth. And, you know, Saturn is going to place restrictions on that. So at the very least, you know, when they were young, people with Saturn here, they usually resist changes because it's really a challenge for them to make space for the new while also honoring the old. Like, that's something that they struggle with. And that's just what it is, man. And this could also show somebody that fears or even resents foreign cultures. And, you know, there's extremes like racism and, you know, people that feel certain type of way and a lot of bigotry, but like, that doesn't mean that all these people are like this. You know what I'm saying? It just means that there's certain fears they might have had attached to these foreign cultures. And if there's some challenging aspects to it, you know, that it's definitely going to show that. But at the same time, they're drawn to these foreign cultures because that's what astrology is always going to do. That's what the cosmos are always going to do. The shit that fucks with you, it's going to put it in your path. It's going to draw it to you because this right here, this is that pressure. When people talk about that pressure, like we were just talking about a while ago, this is that pressure. It's trying to make a diamond out of you. You know what I'm saying? So are you going to fold or are you going to shine? And that's kind of what Saturn does over time. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's actually gonna really come to a point where they invest a lot of time and energy into fucking with new and foreign things. And these are the people that would really master foreign cultures later on, if something like that. I mean, foreign languages, pardon me. But I would also say that don't expect to get a lot of traveling or, you know what I'm saying, going into coming into contact with a lot of foreign countries or anything like that until at least after that first Saturn return and maybe even that second one. But when it goes down, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be well worth it because that's just what Saturn is going to do for you. The lessons, the things that you're seeking, you will find them. And lastly, you know, the ninth house, like I said, is all about higher education. And what this says to me about the individual is maybe they were restricted from going to college or maybe they studied and went later on, or like a lot of folks have. Myself, I had to do that. I went to college earlier on, messed up, you know what I'm saying? Ended up getting myself in trouble, getting locked up and all this other stuff. And then I had to go on to it later on. So that's kind of what it has to do with that. You know what I'm saying? And these are also the people that might have been in college for a really long time. People that do have doctorates and master's degrees. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, these are the people that can really turn ideas into reality, man. And these are the people that understand that structured thinking can really lead to a profoundly deep understanding. But either way, the thing is, just because you built like that, don't mean you have to build like that, man. You don't have to feed into any of the bullshit. You don't have to subject yourself to any of the negativity, and you don't have to allow yourself to be restricted by any placement, because really what you do is what you do. And even beyond that, it's not about what you do. It's about how you do it. So just remember, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that, bro. And that's love. And this has been some priceless knowledge of self. I appreciate all the love and support, y'all. If y'all are interested in the astrological readings whatsoever, you can either hit me up in the comments below or email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. And I want to thank everybody for the love and support, man. I can never say it enough. If y'all fucking with me at all, man, like, share, subscribe. If you ain't already subscribed, man, hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that motherfucking bell icon so you can get notified when I drop some new shit, man. And that's just what it is, man. Or that's what it was, cuz. And keep it real till I come back with a minute. With a little something about those people that have Saturn in the 7th house. Yeah. Relationship issues.